Now, breaking news from NBC4.
Must leave the area immediately. A state of emergency has been declared.
Columbus went into lockdown overnight as the mayor ordered a citywide curfew. That citywide curfew was in effect at 10 p.m. and was lifted this morning at 6 a.m. We want to thank you for waking up with NBC4 Today. I'm Monica Day in for Hattie Hawks. Now, we are following another breaking news story, a 3-alarm fire at an apartment complex that was under construction. NBC4's Catherine Ross has been out at that scene. It has been an active fire for much of the morning. Catherine, what are you seeing now?
Yeah, good morning, Monica. We've seen this fire growing over the past several hours. I'll step out of the way so you can see exactly what we're seeing. Those flames shooting through the roof. The smoke is as far as we can see right now. It's hard to see anything outside of this apartment complex just because of how thick this smoke is right now. Now, crews got here around 3 o'clock this morning. They've been out here for about 3.5 hours battling this fire. They say when they got here, it had already been burning for quite some time, and there were actually holes in the ground that made it more difficult to get in there and attack that fire. Now, crews are calling this suspicious at this point. They say they had a number of suspicious fires in the area that they believe may have been connected to those riots and overnight protests. Most of those were in construction dumpsters that contain some building materials, but of course they're also suspecting this might have something to do with those overnight riots. Now, as soon as they arrive, they try to attack this fire. They have multiple crews on scene. Now, again, this is near the Topiary Park off of South Washington Avenue. This is near Library Park and South 9th Street. Multiple crews on scene right now trying to contain this fire. They say it's spread throughout the entire building. Of course, they are working on figuring out exactly what started it and trying to figure out who, if anyone, may have been responsible for this fire. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated both on air and online at NBC4i.com. For now, live and local for you in downtown Columbus, Catherine Ross, NBC4.
Catherine, thank you. Now, most of the protests have been peaceful, especially during the day, but there has been an uprising in the evenings, especially as folks demand justice for George Floyd, a Minnesota man who died in police custody. At some points, these protests have turned violent. Police have made 59 arrests. They say over 100 buildings have been damaged, and there have been at least 5 officers injured. Now, dozens of protesters lingered on city streets last night as the clock ticked down to that 10 p.m. curfew. NBC4 reporter Ted Hart was there and explains many of them made their way up High Street before finally dispersing near campus.
Pepper spray, mace, and wooden bullets were some of the tools that officers used as they moved crowds of protesters up High Street last night. There was vandalism along the way, including here at the Target on campus. Police say would-be looters got into the store but then fled empty-handed when the police helicopter circled overhead.
You must leave the area immediately. A state of emergency has been declared.
Walls of officers, SWAT, and urban assault vehicles slowly moved the crowds block by block up High Street. And for the third night in a row, some of those in the crowds smashed windows. Supreme Cuts is a minority-owned barbershop at King and High. The shop had been closed for 9 weeks due to the pandemic, and now their front window is smashed and their barber tools were stolen. Like so many business owners, Chris DOSSANTOS wondered, why us?
Confused, lost, don't really understand why. Understand the cause, but not this part of the reason, yeah.
We saw protesters trying to set fires in the street, and in at least one case, succeeding. For some, the whole scene was an opportunity to put on a show. For this guy, wearing a pig costume, his act fell flat. Once 10 o'clock rolled around and the curfew took effect, police started to get a little more emphatic with their enforcement. Officers say that the guys who broke into this Target took off in a car. They chased it to the east side, but they got away. Local for you in Columbus, Ted Hart, NBC4.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine activated the National Guard in Columbus to assist with Columbus police. Made that announcement during a press conference with Mayor Ginther and Columbus Division of Police Chief Thomas Quinlan.
The protesters' voices must be heard when it comes to racism. However, their voices are being overshadowed by the people committing vandalism, looting, and damaging our local landmarks.
City, state, and other local leaders continue to ask protesters to keep those demonstrations peaceful. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther issued a statement after the press conference, reading in part, "While we believe the overwhelming response by our officers has been measured and restrained, if we are asking for peace and patience of protesters, we must demand the same from our police. When they do not meet our expectations, we will investigate and hold them accountable."